Brandon, why did you start this website?
Well, I started this website because I had two passions. I love to travel, and I believe, I'm a romantic at heart, and I believe that when you travel, you can really start falling in love. So why not pair the two together and allow people who love to travel to meet on a website and fall in love?
Now, Brandon, I didn't realize it was you and I together again. I'd forgotten that you and I have worked together in the past. And the last time we worked together, I introduced you to some of the women that were using the site, and they were trauma survivors, they were sex addicts, they were impaired. What about that? Did that wake you up at all?
Well, it did. I think we're taking a much tougher stance on all our websites to really weed out the unwanted characters. I think, obviously, you know, on television show, we tend to look for members who have issues, but the majority of the members who use our websites actually don't have issues. They are women who have high self-confidence. Over 80% of the women who use the website are educated or seeking or have a college degree. So it's certainly not what it seems.
And let me ask, why don't you tell them why you set this website up? I thought it was kind of interesting.
Well, a lot of different reasons. I think one of the main reasons is there's a lot of wealthy guys who are business travelers and as well as women who travel alone. It can be very dangerous to travel overseas. As you know, you go to a bar or a nightclub and you could be propositioned by unwanted elements that could be illegal overseas. Why not meet beautiful men and women?
Brandon, yes. That's not what you told me. You said you were an MIT graduate, you were a smart guy, you'd made a bunch of money, and you couldn't meet pretty girls. You wanted other guys like you to meet pretty girls. That's what you told me. Is that the case?
That's absolutely right, too. That's absolutely right, too. In fact, well, yeah, I mean, I didn't get a girlfriend until I was 21. I didn't have my first kiss till I was 21. And one of the things I learned from my mother when I was growing up is that if you're willing to be generous, you know, the world opens up to you when it comes to dating. And hence, all my dating websites have that similar theme. If you're willing to be generous, you have an amazing ratio. On Miss Travel, for every one generous guy, there's about 3 women vying for his attention.
Okay, we've got calls for you, Brandon. Joelle in Texas, what do you want to ask?
Hi, Dr. Drew. Thanks for taking my call.
Our
I've got
pleasure.
2 quick questions for you.
Yeah.
Number one, do both of them get a background check? I'm a single, divorced woman, middle-aged, and I'd like to know, for safety reasons, if they get a thorough background check. And the other question is, what do you think of it, Dr. Drew, morally, if it's a good idea or not?
You know, Joelle, before I get Mr. Wade to answer the issue of the background check, I have treated a lot of people that have been involved in this kind of world, and it's not cool. The women that are involved in it may look good on paper, but when you actually have some expertise and evaluate what's going on, it's a problem. There are some very serious problems with every woman I've dealt with that get into these kinds of situations. But let's go ahead and ask Mr. Wade what the deal is with the background checks. Is there background checks on all these guys and all those women for that matter?
Well, actually, there's no background checks done right now, but we will be implementing a background check feature over the next month so that will be an option that's available on the website.
Who's paying the money to be on the site?
Well, actually, the attractive users use the website for free, just like any of my websites. It's the generous users who can be men or women. They sign up. They ultimately pay us to communicate with the attractive users.
These euphemisms are making me laugh. The attractive user and the what was the term for the guys that pay up?
Generous.
The generous users, the generous men. Wow. Veronica in Texas, what's up?
Hey, Dr. Drew. I have a statement that leads to a question. My statement is for Brandon, actually. I find your website to be a predatory one, just giving free vacations to escorts, which leads me to the following question, Dr. Drew. Statistically speaking, how long before we find one of these people dead or missing?
Well, I think we've already heard cases of situations like this happen. You didn't specifically involve a website hooking them up, but there's a whole world out there where this kind of thing happens without the internet. And yeah, there was something happened down in Aruba, wasn't there? Veronica, let me ask you something. You see this as escorting. Have you ever been involved in something like that?
Oh, no, sir, and I would definitely not want to see my daughter even closely, remotely involved in something like this.
And yet you see it as that. You're pretty clear that that's what we're dealing with here.
Yeah, escort was actually a nicer word I used for what I was seeing here.
Okay, fair enough. Let's see what Mr. Wade has to say about that. Brandon, what do you say about that? How long before
I
somebody's
think
killed?
Well, Dr. Drew, that's an unfair question, because when you cross the road, people die as well. And when you fly in the planes, people die as well. And when you fall in love, some people get really hurt and they kill themselves. So life in general is just a very dangerous thing. But to mention that the website would be a dangerous place for people to meet, that's just taking it way out of bounds. I think the website makes traveling safer because we point out the fact that you need to use your common sense. We teach people how to travel safely. By making it an issue, we're actually educating people on how to travel safely and hence making it possibly a safer thing to do.
Darla in Texas. Go right ahead, Darla.
I kind of agree with the site itself. I mean, at a certain age, you become an adult, and you should be able to make those adult decisions.
Right.
And you shouldn't have to look over your shoulder to make sure that what you do is approved by everyone else. And
would
then
you do
I started
it?
listening to the background.
Darla, hold on. Would you do it?
Actually, I wouldn't now because I'm married and been married for 6 years.
Well, before, when you were single and running around, would you?
Actually, I might have tried it just to see what it was like. But now that I've heard that there's no background checks run right now, it really turns me the other direction.
Well, I'm assuming you're like you said, you're an adult. You can do the background check.
Exactly. And that also falls into play as being an adult. You should be allowed to do that yourself.
All right, Jeanette, thank you for your call, Darla. Jeanette in New York, what do you got for me?
Hey, Dr. Drew.
Jeanette.
Okay, assume that these guys are not Gary Giordano's.
Okay, assuming that,
okay.
Yeah, all right.
How do you
Who, by the way, Jeanette, by the way, he's not been convicted of anything, right? They may actually be him. You're saying that they aren't
my sister.
You're saying they aren't the guy we thought he might be. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
How do you know that you're sitting across at dinner after gawking at this beautiful girl that they're going to actually have a good conversation?
Well, right. So how do you know what you're getting into?
You have 7 days paid vacation. How do you know you're even going to enjoy it?
That's right. Well, so what is this? How does this work, Mr. Wade? Brandon Wade, how does that work? You're the CEO of this website. I'm still confused. There's the generous guy and the free attractive user. How do these people know they're? It's confusing.
Well, it's kind of confusing, but it sort of points to the question you were asking initially when the show first started. You said, would you let your college-age daughter go and fly somewhere with an older guy? The answer is obviously not. But if you ask the question in 2 steps, the answer might be yes. The first question would be, would you let your college-age daughter date a wealthy, respectful, and successful guy? Hell, why not? And what if this guy decides to take her to Fiji during the summer for a vacation? Why not? So the point of the website is to match people who love to travel so that they get to know each other. And if there's romance and if they know each other well, at that point, if they choose to travel overseas and kindle their romance or take it to the next level, it's not such a bad thing. When you ask the question the right way, the answer is usually a yes.
All right, let me quickly bring in a former prosecutor, Wendy Murphy. Now, Wendy, you're concerned about this site, right?
Oh, yeah, I have a lot of concerns about it, absolutely. I don't know where to begin. I have to say, I think the concept of online dating, even when it's not as explicitly about prostitution as this site appears to be, is rife with potential dangers and problems. And why are we not dating? I think there's a huge problem in society today that kids who go to college, they don't date, they hook up, and they dehumanize each other, and they value each other for all the wrong reasons. Oh, she's cute, she has big boobs, he's wealthy. It's just disgusting. But it is what it is. We live in a terrible society as this issue goes, and he's exploiting it. And I do think it's hard to draw a line between, I think I'll try to date this guy and I'm attracted to him because he's wealthy, and I'd like to date this woman because she's beautiful. We do that to each other. We objectify each other all the time. This man is exploiting it. And the difference is this, and it's not an easy line to draw. The difference is this. He's all but conceding that this is prostitution and that we should somehow be celebrating and pushing the envelope and enjoying the fact that people purchase each other like bags of potato chips. And it dehumanizes women disproportionately compared to men because of the way the sex industry works. We have to pay attention to the fact that the average entry age in prostitution, and by the way, legitimizing this business does, open up all females, including girls, to sex trafficking. The average entry age is 13. And if you look at countries where prostitution has been legal for a long time, Nick Kristof from the New York Times wrote a book called Half the Sky. He cites to research that the vast majority of women in the business in those countries where this has been legal for a long time say, don't do it. To countries like ours where we've continued to resist, don't do it. It destroys women's lives.